Hello, everybody. It is Vince Russo along with the Princess Noel Harlow, and this is Spilling the Teen Mom Tea. As you see, I'm alone. I had to clear my microphone of all wrestlers today because the brand was going crazy, sending me Kevin Owens action figures and Sami Zayn action figures and Finn Balor action figures. I had three action figures sitting on my microphone, and I finally said, you know what, this is absolutely ridiculous. So I got out of respect, I got all my Kevin Owenses and my Sami Zayns and my Finn Balor's behind me. So I'm here by myself, but of course I'm here with the princess. Now, everybody, last week was I don't even know what word to use. I don't want to say an amazing week. It wasn't amazing. I'm not going to sit here and say it was an amazing week because we did this show and 400,000 people downloaded it. I'm not, 400,000 people downloaded the Jenelle interview. I'm not going to say that was amazing. What I'm happy about, to be honest with you, is that 400,000 people and probably fans of Teen Mom got to hear Jenelle's voice. I'm more happy about that than anything. I mean, 400. Listen, we don't charge per click for the show. So, we do a show on Podcast One, every single week, whether it gets 50,000, 100,000, 400,000, it's all the same to us. I'm happy that Jenelle got her voice heard. And listen, we've extended that olive branch for everybody to come on here and get their voices heard.
Everyone in the show.
Noel, I was going back and forth a little bit because, I made some statements about Kale and Leah on the Jenelle show. And, Kale kind of came back hot. And listen, I'm doing her show in a couple of hours. I'm going on her show in a couple of hours. So she came back hot. So I said, I said to Kale, I said, can I break something down for you? I said, because there's one thing all of you need to understand, okay? You're getting paid good money to do a television show. And you've been doing this television show, I believe, for 9 years now. Over that 9 years, you've made a good amount of money. Okay, so you're getting paid to watch a television show that obviously Teen Mom, MTV wants us to watch.
Right.
So you're getting paid to do a television show. You're getting paid to be a TV performer, whether you're a reality star or not. MTV wants us to watch the show. So they succeed in hooking me. They succeed in hooking Noel. They succeed in hooking millions of people over a 10-year span. So now, as long as we watch the show, which is exactly what you all want us to do, MTV wants us to watch the show for ratings. Ratings equal money. You guys want us to watch the show because as long as MTV is getting ratings, you're going to continue to get the money. I understand all that. But when we sit here and we watch the show, and we're looking at the portrayal of all of you on an individual basis, you can't get hot at us for forming an opinion.
Exactly. And that's all we've been hearing all week is that, well, you said this. Well, we formed an opinion by what MTV has given us. If you're not willing to come on the show or portray yourself in a different light, that's not our problem. We're portraying you by what we're given.
Yeah, and I've always come on here, and it's if you're in television, Noel, I've done television for 25 years. It's so freaking easy to see how the MTV producers are working it and manipulating it and pitting this one against that one, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to create interesting television, because at the end of the day, it's about ratings, it's about money, and it's a business. If you're trained in television like me, you can see that. So like I'm seeing these girls portrayed in a certain way, and the guys as well. And I'm like, okay, I'm seeing what they want me to see. I know there's more to it than that. But the bottom line is, ladies, you're getting paid good good money. Thank God. A lot of you have a lot of kids. A lot, you've bought beautiful houses. A lot of you's got really nice cars. A lot of you have spent a lot of money in plastic surgery. So they've pulled us in. We're interested in your lives, but you can't sit there and get hot at us because we're drawing an opinion of what we're seeing on TV. And listen, right or wrong, we're not saying our opinion is right. Every single different person that walks this planet has a different opinion. That's why some girls love Jenelle, some girls love Kale. I'm starting to figure that out the hard way. That's because, everybody has an opinion of what they walk away with from the show. Now, on the other side of the coin, would you like us to all stop watching the show so you lose your jobs and you no longer get paid? Is that what you want? That's number one.
Yeah.
Here's number two.
Agreed.
Here's number two, Noel. Here's number two. I am a 57-year-old man. You're a 37-year-old woman. We both have older children. As a matter of fact, most of these girls now are 25. My kids are 30, 27, and 22. Okay, so they're right in that age group. Okay. Do you ladies actually believe that I'm watching this show and as a 57-year-old man, as a father, as a guy that's gone through a lot him on his own himself, as a guy that's been in the public light, as a guy that's been on television, do you really think when I'm watching this show, I'm looking at you guys and I'm coming from a direction of hatred? Like,
that's the sad thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, Noel, seriously, like, is that what you truly believe? Like, with all due respect, Kale, and I will tell you this, and I'm sure it's going to come up. When I spout off that you have 3 different kids with 3 different baby daddies, and whether you realize it right this second or not, because quite frankly, you're not old enough to understand it yet. Okay, that is going to lead into difficult circumstances as they get older. The older and older they get, the tougher and tougher it's going to be. So these kids were dealt this hand that they have no control over. So when I sit here and I talk about, her spitting out 3 kids with 3 daddies, that's not coming from a place of hatred. That's coming from a place of Vince Russo, the father, soon to be grandfather. That's coming from a place of WTF. Like, what are you freaking doing? Now, I know I'm twice your age. I'm more than twice your age. I'm seeing this completely differently. And I know you are young and you're still learning and you're still growing. But somebody like me is going to sit back and say, what the what? And I'm not saying that out of hatred. I'm saying that because you're creating an environment that's going to be difficult for these kids. And, she comes back with, I have a degree. I've written 4 books. I take care of my books. Nobody's questioning that. As a matter of fact, Lincoln and Isaac, they're right there behind Bentley in my book.
Mine too. And I told her that when I got questioned, I said, your kids are well-behaved, well-mannered.
Well-behaved, very, very respectful. And then she starts coming back at me. You said something about my kids. I said nothing about your kids.
We never said a thing.
Right away, they start reading into these things, or either they didn't listen to the interview and somebody says, oh, did you hear? You think I'm going to sit here and I'm going to bury your kids? Let's face it, Noel. Let's be honest. Out of the whole group, out of all 8 girls, there's one monster kid. And there's one kid that's going to be a huge, huge problem. A huge freaking problem.
And we discussed that with the grandfather, to him.
With the grandfather.
People don't watch.
Yeah.
They want to assume and they don't watch. Yeah. The other thing that got me, Vince, and I have to get this out there because never in my life, my entire life, have I ever been called a racist. Ever been called a racist. I've discussed on this show where I grew up next to the projects, where I told you that I related to Tupac because that's the life I live. My nationality, my family comes from Ireland. a long time ago. My nationality makeup is Irish mostly. Then I have Scottish, African American, Native American, Latino. I am the United Nations. I quite frequently refer to myself as that. That is not in my book. How can I be a racist when I'm like races? Like, I don't understand.
How are you? How and why were you labeled a racist? Who said what?
Said because I said the United Nations in reference to Jenelle saying that she was basically shopping to have a African American baby. And I was called a racist for saying the word United Nations. Because we're so sensitive as a society, we have to pick on somebody. Yeah. And then for that, I got threatened. Yeah. And that went to a whole other level, which I won't even address because it's not worth my time to address it.
Well, here's the thing again. And like I said, I'm doing her show in like less than 2 hours.
She tried to get me to do the show last night because I had commented.
Yeah.
And I said, listen, because she said I talked about her kids, which I wasn't even part of the kids' conversation, really.
Right.
I said, if you can show me where I talked about your children, I would like to hear that. If you'd like me to be on your show.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, I said, if you'd like me to be on your show, DM me a link. She never did.
Yeah, I said the same thing. I said, send me the audio clip, please, where I talked about your children. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Here's the sad state of affairs. And I'm going to address this, pertaining to Kaylin. I'm going to address this, and then I want to move on to our friend Tyler. I got to tell you guys, first of all, I know I was put in this spot for a reason. Okay, and everybody knows I do a show once a week on Podcast One, and it's called That's Life, and it's about life. So it has nothing to do with wrestling. It has a lot to do with life. Primarily has a lot to do about God. Okay, and I know I was thrusted into this world for whatever reason, because it's where God wants me. Somebody wrote, one of the questions was, ask him why he's a 60-year-old man and he's obsessed watching 20-year-old women. No, first of all, I'm 57. How dare you? How dare you? I'm a 57. Second of all, Second of all, I'm not obsessed with watching 26-year-old mothers. Okay. Here's what I'm obsessed with. I'm obsessed with helping people. Okay. Yes. And I love this opportunity to not only, talk to a Jenelle or talk to a Kale. The hatred coming from these 16, 17, 18-year-old girls that watch this show and have chosen sides, the hatred coming out of their mouths is exactly why we're in the position that we're in. And they don't understand it because they're only 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, whatever their age groups are. But the negativity and the hate they are spewing at their age. And you know what? It does take somebody like me to say, hold on a second, guys. Hold on. Look at what you're saying and how you're saying it. And you don't even know me. So first of all, what you have to look at is, what is my motivation? What is my motivation to bury Kale? Okay, why? What? If that's my motivation, that I want to attack this girl and I want to bury this girl and I want to bully this girl and I want to embarrass, what's my motivation? Because I am a 57-year-old man. So what's my motivation? My motivation is I actually come from a place of a person that cares about other people. Okay, and you guys are going to find that out the hard way because you're ready to fire slingshots at me. Fire away, bro. If anybody thinks I'm going to sit here and I'm going to argue with them when my end game is to try to help her and also to try to help people listening to her show, that was the same thing. People didn't like the way we handled Jenelle. Obviously, what am I? I'm going to have Jenelle Evans on my show, and I'm going to give her more hate than she's already getting. What for? Well, I know what it is to be criticized and ridiculed and bullied on a daily basis. It happens to me. And I don't like it, to be quite frank with you. So why would I pass that along to somebody else? And you know what? Maybe listen, Noel, I'm Italian. You know, you and I are old school. You know, there's a thing from the old school that you learn very quickly, and it's called tough love. And what that tough love is, you know what, bro? Sometimes you gotta say something tough to wake somebody up and to get them to listen to you, and you're doing it for their own good. There's no other reason. There's no other ulterior motives. And a lot of times, like I said, coming from my school, it's tough. You slap them across the face with it. But now that you have their attention, you are hoping that it sinks in an effort to help them.
You guys had to do that to me the other day when I wouldn't sleep. Remember when I couldn't sleep and I was on the phone with you and you were like, go lay down now. And I was like, I can't, I got to talk because I had that problem that I have. And you were like, go lay down. Then you got on Twitter and saw I posted on Twitter and you were like, go lay down now. Vito did the same thing. We just come from a different generation of people. And I think the younger generation doesn't understand. Things for us are a little different. We come from a very old school place. Even though I'm not in my 50s, my grandparents helped raise me. So I was raised by older people. My parents worked in emergency services. So they worked weird hours. I was always with my grandparents. We're like, especially with our comedy that we do, because we do a lot of comedy in our show. We're like the Don Rickles, the Dice Clays, the Howard Sterns. That's like our things we find funny. We make fun of ourselves. We're not out to hurt and make fun of people and be this and be that and be a racist and no, we're being funny and making fun of this person's this. I make fun of myself. We make fun of you and I all the time. It's what we do because we come from that era of comedy. And if you don't like it, you don't have to listen.
We're not the sensitive snowflakes that are overcoming the world. Can I tell you something, Noel? I don't think I've ever said this before. Okay, I don't think because people. Do you know what they use? You see my nose here? This is a Jim Russo nose. I got my father's nose. This is a Jim Russo nose.
Love Jim Russo.
Do you know what do you know when I was a kid going to school? Okay, when I was a kid going to school, do you know what people use? I've never said this before on the air because I don't know if I can. Okay, do you know what people used to call me when I was very young going to school?
What's that?
I'm not going to say it because even in this context, it'll get me in trouble. But you know the N word?
Yeah.
They used to call me N nose.
That's
what they used to call me like in school, and like. So like that's what I'm used to, like, to be honest with you. And I would never, ever, ever go to that extreme, but I will go to the extreme, you know, with a Kaylin or any of them where it's WTF. And I'm telling you this for your own good. And listen, I'm going to move on in a minute, but I have to give her all the credit in the world for she didn't like some of the things I said. I said, come on my show. She said, no, you come on mine. I said, no problem. I love that. Yeah. I love that because she now is going to understand. I am so happy for this opportunity because rather than be pissed off because, you know, your mind wants to think one way and you don't want to hear the rationale and the reasoning behind it. You don't want to hear the other person's story. Rather than do that, I'm coming on your show and you and I are going to have a discussion. And I promise you, we will both walk away better people from that discussion. Now, let's move on to Tyler.
Well, let's say one more thing before we move to the Tyler thing. There was a couple thousand people that accused us of knowing Jenelle before the interview or talking to Jenelle at length. We don't do that. We set somebody up for the interview. We say, we use this service. This is what we do. Is there anything you don't want to talk about? I ask people every time they come on the air. That's the extent over Twitter of the conversation. There's no 3-hour long pre-interview. That's it. Vince and I don't know Jenelle. We don't live where she lives. We don't know where we've watched her on TV. If you accused us of knowing like a Ric Flair or a, you know, Hulk Hogan or Shane Douglas. Okay, we know them, but we don't know any of these teen moms. This is fresh for us.
Right.
We don't know them.
Right. And listen, I like Jenelle.
I don't have a problem with Janelle.
I'm not afraid to say that. I like Janelle. Is Jenelle an F up? Yes. Does she know she's an F up? Yes. Am I an F up? Yes. Is Noel an F up? Yes. We are all absolutely 1000% screw ups. See, that's the difference, bro. I'm a screw up. That's why I can talk about God, because I'm a screw up. I need him in my life to straighten me out. If I didn't need him in my life to straighten me out, then I would be a eternal screw up. So I'm not going to sit here and be afraid to say I like Jenelle. I like Jenelle, man. I can't imagine the life that she's had to leave to lead. I said in the interview, why I'm concerned about her and some of the things. I told her in the interview numerous times, you can't treat your mother that way. The girl's a freaking screw up. We're all freaking screw ups.
And she knows that she is. She owns it. She owns it. She knows she makes mistakes. Her husband recently got fired from the show. He said something that was not appropriate. As somebody that has a child that is gay and trans, by the way, did I go and all of a sudden text Jenelle, oh, your husband this or that? No, she's not in control of what her husband said. And you know what? This is America, guys. And when you complain about somebody saying one thing and you contact sponsors and you contact this, you contact that, then that right to free speech gets taken away. You might not like when somebody kneels when they play football and they say the national anthem. You might not like that. But guess what? As an American, that's his right to do that, because he's an American and he's expressing his freedom. That's his right to do that. If I agree with it or I don't agree with it is irrelevant, because that's his choice and he's exercising his freedom. And when you pick on little tiny things, they get bigger and bigger and bigger until you make sure all of our freedoms are taken away. If you don't celebrate freedom, you lose it. Yeah. And we find that out more and more.
Yeah. Now, let me tell you something, Jenelle, because you went back and forth with Tyler in a very ugly nature. You know, the things he said about you. Well, here's what I don't think you know, but I'll tell you. Prior to that starting, I was DMing Tyler trying to get him to come on our show. So I was establishing some kind of a relationship with Tyler. All of a sudden, this stuff with you and this sticker hits the fan. So now he starts coming at me, I'm, calling you a bunch of names. I'm not going to come on your show. I was going to come on your show, but I'm not going to come on your show now because of you. This is your co-host, and you seem like a really good guy. But you know what they say, bro? Who you surround yourself with tells us a lot about a person, which I got offended by because, Tyler, I'm 30 years older than you, bro. Don't listen. You can school your parents on the show. You can school Butch on the show. You can school your wife on the show. You ain't gonna school me on the show. Okay, so don't start hitting a 57-year-old man with you're who you surround yourself with. And I called him out on that immediately. I said, bro, that's an insult. Okay, and he apologized. Which was a pretty cool thing. But I want people to explain something because I want to get to this stupid freaking sticker that you created. Listen, Noel.
Yes.
When I was 22 years old, okay, 3 things happened to me, all within literally the period of 1 month. Okay, as a 22-year-old, I got married. I bought my first, it was called a co-op back then. I guess they call condos today, whatever. I got married. I bought my first place of residence, and I started a brand new job at 22 years old. Okay. I was overwhelmed. I just came right out of college. I was vice president of my fraternity. I was the big man on campus. All of a sudden, in a month, I have all these freaking responsibilities put on my shoulder. Okay. I fall into this deep deep depression because I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know how to function. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. I hate my job. My wife moved from Indiana to New York, so she was struggling with that. I just became completely a different person. Okay. Went to doctors. They gave me, I'll never forget, and it wasn't Viagra because Viagra wasn't around back then. These little blue pills, Noel, that I needed to take.
Prozac?
I don't know what it was, but I started taking the pills and I felt like I was losing my mind. So I stopped. I stopped taking the pills immediately. All of a sudden, 5 years later, Noel, 5 years, I'm dealing with this, 5 freaking years. All of a sudden, I find out my wife is pregnant. Okay. And instantly, I am overcome with a thought and a feeling of, holy shit, there you are bringing another human being into this world that is going to be solely responsible on you. This little kid is you are going to be responsible for this new life. The only one he's going to have is you and Amy. And it's got to be all about him. It can't be about you anymore. It can't be about this depression anymore. You got another kid. You got a kid you're going to be responsible for. Wake the F up. Okay,
Yeah.
now I'm sure at that time it was God, and I didn't recognize it at that point. But I mean, Noel, like this, out of it, because it wasn't about me anymore. It wasn't about my problems anymore. It wasn't about my depression anymore. It was now about this kid. Okay, so
Right.
again, we talk about we're watching this show, and we talk about what we're seeing come from this Teen Mom show. Okay.
Correct.
And what I'm seeing, and we saw, over a couple of episodes, we saw Caitlin, okay, that had to, we know she's dealing with depression. That's clear. Okay. But however, what she's also made clear is she likes her pot. And what I do know about depression is you don't mix pot and depression. It's not a good mix. I know that. So like, I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, you're dealing with depression. No doubt about it. It's clear too. You said several times, I'm on medication. I've been there. I know what that's like. And on top of that, you're killing cameras in your car because you're smoking marijuana. So these are all the things presented to me as somebody that suffers with depression. Now, all of a sudden, what I'm seeing, Noel, is they have this beautiful kid. What's the second baby's name?
Nova. Isn't she
Nova.
beautiful?
She
She's
has
so cute.
and Caitlin looks just like the kid.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
She has the prettiest little smile when she smiles.
Yeah, she has this beautiful baby. She looks just like the baby. We all know the situation with the first daughter, that they had to give the daughter up, and obviously, make no bones about it, that's the issue Caitlin's dealing with. I mean, I can't listen. I'm going to tell you something, Noel, and I've said this numerous times. I said it to Jenelle. I can't imagine giving my first baby up for adoption and then having a second child, being old enough now to care for the second child, but that piece is missing. You know what I'm saying? Every time she looks at Nova. What's the other kid's name?
Carly.
She's got to be thinking about Carly.
We talked about this on the show, and see, everybody's judging us by an interview. Go back and watch our shows. We talked about Tyler saying Christmas morning, I won't have my 2 little girls ever under the tree opening presents, because in their mind, that's their little girl, but it's somebody else's little girl now. And we discussed that. We discussed that I had postpartum depression with my son, that I stayed in bed for months after I had my son, and I had a 2-year-old. I was 21 years old. I stayed in bed and didn't get out of bed. I've been through that. I've been through the medication. I've been through the therapy. I also know this, Vince, that we know a pattern with Caitlin. When Caitlin starts buying animals, that's when she needs to go get help. Remember the pig? Yeah. When she bought the pig, and Tyler said, when she bought the pig, I knew there was a problem. Now we go years later, and she bought a goat. She bought a horse. She's doing it again. And that was our point, was stop buying animals and go get help.
Well,
it's a sign for her.
Well, here was my point, and here's what I saw through my eyes. Okay, yeah. She's there with Nova, and she's there with Tyler. But somehow there's this relief, there's this feeling of peace when she could get away and go ride the horse, brush the horse, whatever the situation was. The horse was therapy for her. Okay. But here's what I'm looking at. There's only one problem with that. You got to go back home. You got to go back home.
You can't live on the horse.
You got to go back home. So you can go spend 2-3 hours with the horse and forget about Nova, forget about all your problems and what you're dealing with depression about. But you eventually have to go home. The horse
can't live there. It's
right, the horse is not going to make your problems go away. So, like, to me, that was another, because I went through it when I got that wake up call when my son was born. That was another, WTF to me. WTF. Okay, you're getting a couple of hours of freedom and relaxation and therapy, but you're going home to the same problem. So sooner or later, you're going to have to deal with that problem head on. And she's in therapy now, right? So I mean, hopefully that's happening now. But the point was, you can go to a horse 6, 7, 8 times a week. You're going to come home to the same freaking problem. That was the message. You're going to have to deal with this problem head on sooner or later.
And, this thing that we had discussed wasn't new. It was somebody that was going around trying to find stuff because we interviewed Jenelle and they were mad. This is something we discussed months ago. This wasn't since she had the suicidal, I don't know what you call that, suicidal. I don't want to say attempt because that's not what it was. Suicidal thoughts, I'll say. We didn't say anything after that. We had said that we felt bad that they had a miscarriage, and we didn't say anything negative towards that. And we would never make fun of anybody's issue to that level. This was months ago.
And it was months ago. It was months ago. And it was also very, very, very lighthearted. If anybody knows Noel, she's an artist. She made my beautiful banner on my Twitter. You could see she's very, very creative. We finished that show. She came up with this thing, and it was very, very lighthearted. It was not mean. It was not malicious at all. No. And for Tyler to turn this into, she's a hateful this, that, the other thing. No, she's not. And bro, let me tell you, if you think she is, then have a discussion with her. Have a discussion.
I was so ready to have a discussion, but he ignored me until the point I said something he didn't like. Yeah. Then he said something.
Yeah. Who wants to carry that hatred around with them for another human being? What good is that going to do you by being so upset over this little piece of artwork that Noel's the worst person in the world? Now you lump me in there because of who I surround myself with, rather than have a discussion. Noel,
called me vile.
Yeah.
When I've actually seen him do things for what's presented.
Yeah. And
I'm not going to accuse him of anything or anything like that, because that's not my style right now.
That doesn't even matter. Yeah. I don't care what he's doing. But guys, this is part of being a grown-up. This is part of the grown-up process. And I know Tyler more than anybody puts on that grown-up hat, 24 hours a day. Tyler, this is part of it, bro. If somebody does something you don't like, by you calling them names and then, accusing, dragging me into it, there's no need for you to carry that type of baggage around. We are right here. And if you had a conversation with us at the end of the day, you would understand, these guys are on my side. Just like we're on Jenelle's side. I got to tell you, listen, I'm going to be honest with you, Noel. Mm-hmm. Out of all these girls, the only side I probably wouldn't be on is Farrah's side, because Farrah is just a nasty human being. And Farrah serves up what is my pet peeve. And here's my number one pet peeve, bro. When you think everybody is beneath you and you treat them that way, that's my pet peeve, because, bro, no one person is better than anybody else as far as I'm concerned. We all came out of our mother's womb. We all came out of that womb completely created equal. Every single one of us, from the time we were born, our lives start taking shape depending on our parents and morals and the situation that we're put in. But that moment we're born, we are all equal. She does not treat people as equals. She has an attitude that I am better than everybody. Now, of course, she has that attitude because of her upbringing and because she's a victim of her environment. I get that, but man, it's hard to get past that. It's really hard to get past that. And I'm going to segue into this week's show. Here's a perfect.
There was one thing I wanted to say before I keep interrupting. I feel bad because I don't like to do that, but I'm like, I'm really kind of lit about this. Okay, the thing with the sticker. Number one, a lot of Teen Mom fans don't know what the Bullet Club is, and there's a lot of Bullet Club logos. It's a wrestling thing. That's where that comes from. It's a parody. It's not something that we just like invented or came up with. It's a parody of the Bullet Club. That's number one. It wasn't meant in malice. It was put on a cup because we're spilling the Teen Mom tea. It wasn't a thing that we sold. It was in the artist section. There was nothing for sale. So I got accused of selling this for money, and somebody, I guess, had ordered it. Well, I had already, after the thing showed up, got in contact with Redbubble and said, I don't have an account and this is coming up. Well, then all of a sudden the account disappears. So I contact Redbubble again and I said, listen, this is my information. I gave them my name, my PayPal, my email. I did it through Twitter, and I also did it through my email. I use one email address for my business. Any email address you see for me, like noel@bigvito.com, they go to that email address. That's it. There's no other business address I use because I was accused of having multiple lists and multiple that. Guys, I don't have the time for that. I'm an adult. I have finances. I have to keep things straight. Yeah. So I got a message back saying there was no account under my name. There was no account to my PayPal. They had nothing listed. There was nothing listed to my email address. Absolutely nothing. This account was created in 2016. It contained my last name. That's it. A banner stolen off of my Facebook. It wasn't a sales banner. It wasn't like the spilling the Teen Mom tea store. It was the actual banner right off of my Facebook, and then a Teen Mom logo in the square. It had 0 followers. In September 2016, when this account was created, between 2015 and 2016, I had 10 back surgeries. 10. I wasn't in the public eye. I wasn't possible to be in a public eye. I couldn't sit up. I was stuck at a half-sitting position and didn't leave my house other for medical purposes for that entire time. There's no way. I created an account when we were doing nothing. There was no podcast. My husband was taking care of me, and that was it. So obviously, this is somebody that either has an account and changes it around, because you can do that, or I don't know what. But it ain't mine. I don't profit off of that thing. And Vince told Tyler there's one place that does our merchandise, and it's only wrestling merchandise. That's it.
And when I told him that, he didn't believe me. So, again, Tyler, if I'm lying to you now, Noel's lying to us now. You know what? Come on our show and tell us we're liars, so we can have a civilized conversation and explain to you the facts.
But I tagged him when I put that screenshot up from it. And of course, he didn't answer that. Yeah. He didn't retweet that.
That's a part of life, man. Part of life is you have conflict with people. People say things, you disagree with them. You don't keep that hatred or frustration or whatever you want to call it inside. That doesn't do anybody any good. We are all reasonable human beings here. Okay. That's why that's why I give Kale credit. Whatever happens today, that's why I give her credit. But let's go on to what I was saying, because I was talking about Farrah, And I
Right.
was talking about that. She's really a difficult person for me to like or care about. And the reason being the way she treats others. But of course, I got to tell myself, she's a victim of her environment. I got to go back to when she was born and trace her childhood, teenage years into adulthood to realize why she treats people this way. But Noel, one of the person, I was dealing with the Jenelle interview was that producer, Kristen. So
Correct.
I had conversations with her on the phone. Very nice, very bubbly woman, very respectful to me, the whole 9 yards. And then I'm watching like the next day, and I'm watching the way and keep in mind, I went to Christian's IMBD because I
Yeah.
wanted to learn a little bit about this girl. She's done a lot in the entertainment business. She's got a lot of credits. She's been doing it for a very long time. Very respectful woman in television that knows what she's doing. Right. So then I tune into Teen Mom on Monday, and I see that the same Kristen is now producing Farrah. I guess Farrah's hers on Teen Mom OG, and then I guess Janelle's hers on the second show. Oh my gosh, she's got both of them. Can you imagine?
Oh, it used to be that lady Heather. She was with Farrah, and then she was with Amber too. Yeah. And now she's gone. And apparently, and we talked about it with Michael a little bit because there was this big mystery on while she was gone because she had spent the night at Farrah's house one night or something ridiculous or whatever. But now it looks like Kristen has stepped into that Heather spot.
Well, the way Farrah spoke to Kristen, it made me sick to my stomach. I was sitting there saying, here's what I was saying, Noel. I'll be honest with you. Here's what I was saying. I hope this is a work. Like, I really hope Farrah is just doing this to get her character over. But she's not. I mean, she's not Meryl Streep. Okay, that she's that great an actor to portray that much hatred. So it's not a work because she's not that good. But the way she spoke to Kristen about making a mother wait in the car and I hate you, it literally made me sick to my stomach. I don't care who you are. It makes me sick to my stomach when one human being can treat another human being like that. And there's no caring behind that. She's not telling Christian because, I care about you and you need to treat my mother better. No, man, it's hatred. It's 100% hatred. And that's why out of all these girls, man, it's really, really, really hard to be sympathetic with her.
And as of yesterday, I don't know if a lot of people know or understand kind of what's going on with the MTV thing, because Farrah tells people she was fired from MTV. MTV won't make a statement. They want to wait, I guess, until maybe they fire her on TV before they make a statement. But yesterday, Farrah came out with a lawsuit. She's suing MTV, Viacom, producers, because she said there are things on the show that you do not see. The way that these girls have been treated and cultured since they were young kids moving forward. That she claims that there was sexual shaming, there was, incentives for babies, there are like all these different things had come up in this lawsuit. She made a video explaining herself, and it broke last night, and I had it sent to me from someone, and I looked through it, and then you see this, and then you wonder what is going on here that we're not seeing. Something okay. Somewhere is weird, and I don't understand it.
No, well, here's the thing. Okay, even if MTV is guilty of all that, and we don't know if they are, we don't know at all. We don't know. But even if they're guilty of all that, okay, here's what a judge is going to say: you took the money for 9 years.
Yeah.
You took the money. They paid you the money. You took the money for 9 years. So because of the money, you allowed them to do whatever you're accusing them of doing. But at the end of the day, you took the money. That's the bottom line. You took the money to get your fame, to get all these other businesses started, to get your name out there, to buy the houses, to buy the businesses. You took the money. That's what any judge is going to say. And I mean, with all due respect, listen, I know TV, and I know MTV is putting these girls in certain positions and pitting them against each other. That's good TV. It's just like Big Brother. It's just like Jersey Shore. It's the same thing. I know they're doing that, but illegal things, working for a big company like Viacom. I mean, I don't know. I personally would doubt that they're doing anything wrong on a legal level. But at the end of the year, man, you can't take their money for 9 years and then come forward and, oh, you did this, that, and the other thing to me the minute they want to get rid of you.
Yeah, like you would have done that sooner. I just don't. It seems like while you're sitting here and you're on social media and you're watching that show, and then you're going back and you're looking at fighting and infighting, and this one's accused of this and this one's, and they're going at each other publicly on Twitter. And I've had so many people DM me and going, is the show getting canceled? Do you know if the show's getting canceled? Because this is actually getting kind of out of hand.
I think it's going to be canceled.
I think so too. I think that's why there's a new group of young moms coming out.
Between the Farrah thing, between what's going on with Jenelle and David, I really think it is getting out of hand for them. I mean, I believe those conversations are going on.
Yeah, and that's sad because like people like the show, and I know there's people that are haters of the show, and good for you, speak your mind. But the fact is that these girls, and Kale's one of the lucky ones that she went to school, she got her degree, but and that's, by the way, for those of you saying that's not kissing anybody's ass, that's giving somebody credit for working hard. I think there's a little bit of confusion, but other girls don't have that.
What they're losing sight of, and again, they were very young through all this, is the platform they had to have influence on young girls. They had such a tremendous, tremendous platform to really change, people's lives. Now, keep in mind, they were young girls themselves. So they probably weren't figuring that out till they got older. But it's just a shame if they lose that platform, and they really could have spoke to these girls, and I'm sure, listen, I'm sure there are many positive ways they are speaking to these girls, but there's also a lot of negative ways. I mean, they're also setting a bad example in a lot of ways. The only thing other thing that stood out in the Farrah story, and I don't know if I missed anything else, was the fact that now Deborah thinks, what's the kid's name?
Sophia
is coming. She thinks Sophia is coming to the wedding, and she doesn't want to say anything to Farrah because she thinks Farrah is planning this big surprise. First of all, Deborah, if you don't know your daughter well enough to know she's not planning a surprise for you, and Sophia's not going to show up. If you don't realize that, but even I know that. Yeah. Even I know that just watching this show for the last, no, there's no surprise. She's not going to surprise you with Sophia. And for her to have convinced herself of this, and we know Sophia didn't go to the wedding. So
yeah, we know now.
Yeah, so we know now. So I'm looking at this like, man, you actually think you're not going to say anything because you want to, she's trying to surprise you. Boy, when Sophia is not at that wedding, man, that's going to be tough.
I don't know. We watch a lot of reality television. Have you ever watched Little People, Big World?
I know of it, but I don't watch it now.
Okay, so Amy Roloff is the mom on the show. Well, now the grandmom on the show. And her and her husband split up. And she is dating a new guy. They've been split up for a while and divorced. She's dating a new guy. He looks like David's twin. Like, I swear to you, they look exactly alike. And fans of that show, I can't believe people are so invested in television. The fans of that show are saying that this guy is a terrible person and he's trying to take her for her money on their pictures for Valentine's Day that were up on the internet where their arms around each other, smiling, having cake and some champagne. And he's this, he's that. And I looked at him and I'm like, Yo, that dude looks like Dr. Santa. Exactly like they could be twins. I
Oh,
should have
what about the way he shut her down on that phone call?
That was my next thing. She was like,
Ay,
I got
ay.
this thing to keep him. And he was like, yeah, I got to go.
Oh
Yeah.
my God. Like, they.
I sat like this in the living room. Like, I couldn't believe it's like, oh my God, if my husband would have done that to me, I'd have called him back and have been like, really? You gonna shut me down like
Well, see
that?
that's another thing too. Like you get, let's see that's the thing. MTV putting that in the show. Yeah,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
that's so bad.
But that's what because they want you and I to be sitting here and talking about that. That's
And
what
that's
they
not
do.
and
That's a
that's not
TV.
the first time that they've done that to her
No,
about this
no.
wedding. Remember the other time she was on the phone and talk about, oh, in so many weeks we're gonna be married. He goes, I don't count the weeks. Like
Yeah,
just so like
yeah,
shutting it down,
yeah,
nonchalant. But you know what? He could have said, I have to go. And he's a doctor. Maybe he had patients or another doctor calling, but that's not what they
yeah,
showed.
yeah.
So she got shut out. Oh,
I,
are you gonna not say anything about vaginal rejuvenation?
oh my God, I forgot
Are we
all
gonna
about that.
totally like gloss over the vag rejuve? Because that's not like us to not say it. And I want to be us because we're us.
What does that do? Does that just make you tighter?
Well, I guess you're on podcast one, Noel. You're on podcast one. Okay. So let me see if I can use some urban dictionary words to not make myself look like a jerk. So you could have a wizard sleeve. Have you ever heard of that term?
No, I have not.
Look it up on Urban Dictionary. Here's one from your friend Vito that's been used. How about roast beef sandwich? Have you ever? It makes all the extra pieces. I can't even say it.
What, tighten up or something? Tighten
Yeah,
up?
like there's folds and extra things that might not look fresh, I guess you would say. So it's supposed to take all the the extra and make it less. I mean, is that a good visual description? Like, that's what it's supposed to do. So you're supposed to be tighter and more vaginally appealing. I mean, is that an appropriate term?
I guess more appealing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no, vaginally appealing. It's gotta be. Yeah, so that's what they did. And they were giving a list of like, well, you can get stretched out from having a baby or
Yeah, and the person doing it was very, very hot woman.
I didn't notice. I
Yes,
usually notice
very.
stuff like that. You can tell I'm off this
Yeah,
week.
that tells you how much I'm not a fan of Farrah. She's sitting there in a bra with her big fake huge boobs out. She's got her legs slung open, and I'm paying attention to the woman on the other side.
Yeah, and you didn't even mention it. And it's vaginal rejuvenation, and you didn't even mention it. That goes to show Vince Russo, not scummy, just like pretty ladies.
Let's go to Noel. This Ryan, wait, let me tell you something.
I knew exactly what you were going to say.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something from a guy's point of view. Brother Ryan, and I like you, Ryan. I really do. Brother Ryan, if you have to get that hammered to get married, something's freaking wrong. Something. Noel, I swear to you.
Ryan.
Noel, I swear to you, on my wedding day, I don't think I had one drink the whole day. I don't think I had one drink the whole day. This guy was hammered before he went up to the altar. And all he kept talking about through the whole show was next drink, let's party, next drink, next drink, next drink.
Oh, and dip because he wanted to chew his tobacco. And he was chewing gum at the altar.
Oh, and he was chewing gum. Bro, if you got to get that hammered to say I do, it's probably not a good idea, bro. And Noel, am I saying that out of hatred? No, bro.
No,
if you can't get married sober, it's probably not a good idea.
And I don't want to, like, number one, I loved Mackenzie's dress. I'm going to go out there and say
that. Have a nice dress.
Oh my God, that was beautiful.
I didn't like the hairdo.
No, I didn't either. But the dress was amazing. I love the dress. I just have to say though, give me a shot. Give me a shot. And his hair got grayer. Like he's under a lot of stress here, guys. Like, we need to help Ryan out.
And not only that, like, with all due respect, listen, I'm not a big Mackenzie guy, but with all due respect, this is like the second time she did that. She got married to him once when he was pilled up out of his head, and she went ahead and did it anyway. If you're getting married to a guy and you're seeing how much he has to drink to get through this, you got to throw the red flag. You at least have to ask him, do you have to get this hammered to marry me?
Yeah, I would have had to. And she even called him out. You're drunk. Walking back down the aisle. It was awkward. I have to say, like, I haven't been married that long. I've only been married 3 years, but I've been with my husband for a very long time. We didn't get married right away. I wanted him to know my children, and we ran a lot of businesses and things in different states, so it made it difficult to pick a wedding date and move forward. But when we did get married, oh my God, my husband was the biggest participant in a wedding I think a groom has ever been. I get the phone call that he says, I set up with the caterer because he was still traveling wrestling at the time. So he goes, I out of town. He says, I set up with the caterer and I need you to go over there and have a tasting, see what you think. And we'll have another one when I come back. He set all that up. Like, he was the one that was like, this is what we should do here. And we did it together. Yeah. Everything in the wedding we did together, and we had a blast. We still say that was one of the best times of our life, was planning our wedding. Yeah. We used to take the Mustang out and drive around and look at venues and have a great time. And Ryan's going, how much was this cake? You just had $5,000. How much did you pay?
During the dance, during the first dance, how much did you pay the bartender? How much we got left in the bank? I mean,
yeah, listen, he was like,
and are we supposed to get? Are we like, we're going to get heat now because we're watching this train wreck? The first dance, he's questioning her about money.
He didn't even know what the song was either.
Right. He didn't know what the song, and we're supposed to believe that this marriage is going to last.
It's crazy. My husband even picked out our first song. He said that we danced to. He goes, we were in the car, and he goes, this is how I feel about you. He's like, this is it.
What was the song?
Richard Marx, Now and Forever.
Oh, very nice.
Which is a beautiful song. And he's like, and for Vito, if anybody knows, like, the things that Vito's been through and his health issues that he's had, and he almost died of a blood clot right before we got married, which changed his life. He got a blood clot in his leg and thought he broke his leg in training and didn't get it taken care of. He was in Florida and I was here working in Philly, and I kept telling him, you really got to go get your leg looked at. He says, I can hardly walk. Couldn't walk the dog, nothing. He was in terrible pain. So I said, you got to go to the hospital. When he went to the hospital, he called me at work and said, well, they think I might have broken my leg. So I'm waiting for the other doctor to come in because they want to do one more test. Well, the test they wanted to do on his leg, I thought was another x-ray, like of another view, because maybe he really broke it. I used to work in a radiology department, so I copied x-rays. So I know sometimes they do that. It was an ultrasound. He had the blood clot the size of a softball in the front of his leg. He was getting on the plane to meet me in New York the next day because he was going to team with Roddy Piper at this event. And they said he would have died because the blood clot was so big and it was like it would have broke off and went to his heart.
Oh my God. All right.
So
enough about Vito.
Right. I love Vito though.
Right. Listen, let me tell you who I love. I don't think I've ever said a negative word about her. So, like, if you want to call me biased, like, it's okay. Because if I'm biased to anybody, it's freaking Macy.
I mean, loved Macy at this wedding.
Yeah, if
when
somebody
she was hugging Jen.
Yeah, if somebody wants to call me out, oh yeah, you love Jenelle. No, if you want to call me out over Macy, call me out over Macy, because I've never said a bad thing about her. And here's what pops me even more. She's wearing this very revealing gown, and like all you see are tats, which I thought that was absolutely tremendous.
She's so cool. You know what? We are biased with the Macy and the Chelsea.
Yes,
we are Macy.
Even Chelsea, I say the husband's a little foofy.
Yeah, but I can't say that anymore because now I know. Like you said, foofy, and I said, "Is he foofy to her dad?" And he was like, "He does construction for a living. He's a hunter." And I'm like, "Okay, the guy's not foofy. He's just kind of camera shy." But oh my God, when she hugged Jen and she was like, "You will always be my mom," I was like,
very nice.
That touched me. Nice. That speech from Larry, by the way. cried.
Yeah. It was a very emotional show. It was that was very emotional. Before we get to the other emotional part, like what even happened with Amber this week? I don't even remember anything happening.
She was on the couch.
They went to the birthday party. She was on the couch. She had her hair in a bun.
Yeah, always. You know what got me? It was Leah's birthday. Yeah, let me kind of recap you because there wasn't that.
Yeah, I'm gonna sit back. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, so it's Leah's birthday, and Amber was going to the birthday party. She was, of course, sitting on the couch explaining that, dressed in a monkey suit.
Right.
She's wearing a suit like a monkey. I can't judge. I wear weird clothes. I'm basically like the macho man of the brand, so I can't talk about people's clothing. But that was a little weird. She goes to the birthday party, and I'm so excited that I could tell Boo Boo what I'm having because she wanted a boy. So she goes to this little girl's birthday party. Her stepmom wasn't there because she had the other daughter that's not allowed to film. So it was Gary, it was Amber, Andrew, and then like the family. So she says to the little girl, Leah, over all the party, and she's celebrating. She's got her favorite pizza. Guess what I'm having? You're getting a little brother. And it was like she took that baby's birthday and just made it all about the attention. And then she just kept talking about it.
Yeah, and Boo Boo no sold.
Yeah, she was like, oh, that's good. So then later in the show, Gary and his wife are sitting there talking, and Gary, literally the best dad in the world. I will never say a bad word about Gary as a dad right now because he is killing it. He's always doing things with his kids. Even like if you're on his Twitter, he always has his kids. He's always doing stuff. He's running his bakery business. He's doing like really good things. He says, has Leah mentioned this baby to you, to his wife? And she said, no, she kind of just like, and the thing is that they're like, she hasn't really seen Amber a lot. You're timing me? Okay.
Timeout. I'm giving you the timeout.
Okay.
Because this has been going on for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. You've never said anything about it. I'm calling a big timeout right here because it's time for somebody to get called out.
All right.
What is Gary's wife's name?
Oh my gosh, it just went out of my head. Kristen.
She is the biggest under the radar shit stirrer on the entire freaking show. She does it every freaking time because Gary sits there and he'll say something about Amber in a relationship and, the daughter selling, having a baby boy. And that Kristen will just stir shit.
You really think so?
Without it.
I always thought
she's a master.
I always thought that trying to get my thought together here. I always thought that MTV, because she doesn't seem like, guys got to realize in the grand scheme of things here that a lot of these people coming into this wonderful journey into teen parenthood are not TV people.
Right.
They are not like Vince and myself that have done TV and done radio and performed live in front of crowds. They are regular people. I always assumed that MTV, because she always asks questions, she never just starts off and says anything. It's always, if you go back and watch, and I said this before in previous episodes, she'll say, well, what do you think about Amber breaking up with Matt? What do you think about Amber going to LA? It always starts with the question. I always assumed that MTV wound that up, but you could be right and I don't know.
We're both right. They do wind that up, but she still stirs the shit.
Yeah, but then she rides it all the way to town. So I don't want to say they bring her the horse because that would be wrong.
Yeah.
They bring it to her and she takes it and runs with it. Yeah. And that could be the truth too, but definitely it's always a question. And it's always an answer. And the last time she was saying, I should just adopt Boo Boo. Leah, I should just adopt her.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm sure Amber was lit about that because that's when she went on that rant.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of horses, that Tyler Butch stuff tore me up.
Yeah, it was bad.
That was hard to watch, man.
you know what? Here's the thing. Here's the sad thing. I like Butch a lot. Remember I told you, like, I want Butch on the show.
Well,
we had this.
Well, you can forget that now. You shot that horse in the foot.
Don't say horse.
I know, but that ain't happening now. You can forget that now. You're not going to get anybody on that family on this show.
No, and that's fine because I have other people lined up. I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth.
Don't say horse.
Don't say horse. We're banning the word horse from the show. No, I like Butch. And he was the first person I said, hey, we got to get Butch on the show because, man, he's got a story. And you want to say I grew, and Tyler said this to me. I grew up, and Caitlin and I grew up in a very tough life, and we have it. So did the rest of us. Okay, I can say that. Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know about to that extreme.
But he didn't know what my life was. But Butch's life is worse than all of the rest of us combined because he was an abused child. He put that out there that he was terribly abused as a child, horribly abused. He has never been able to be clean in his life. He has been in and out of jail. He loves his family. He wants to participate, and he's so tied up. And I didn't realize how bad his addiction was until they asked him when was the last time he had smoked crack. And it was 4 days before he showed up there.
That was incredible.
And that, like, it took my breath away a little bit because I knew he had a history, but I didn't know how far in and hard that history was. He never took pills. He's shot drugs. He did this, he did that. And my heart like hurt for him because as a person on the show, I do not know Butch personally. I do not know him personally, but as a person on the show, to watch him and to watch the emotions that he has had over the years and then see him have to go and sit down and go, yeah, I did this. Yeah, I did this. Yeah, I did this. And then they gave him, because of his story was so lengthy, they gave him a scholarship so that he could go to this place and get clean because that place felt for him. And there were other addicts there at that place that help you with your rehab. And maybe that's what he needs is people to relate to.
Yeah. Well, let's hope so. I mean, let's hope good comes out of that.
I'm seriously, I pray for people. Like, I know people think I'm vile, I guess, but I have a prayer list and I pray for people.
Put me on that list.
On my list.
Put me on that list.
Vince, I always pray for you.
Thank you very much.
Always do.
Here's my favorite part of the show. What's the dirt?
It's hard to say the dirt without mentioning us. Like, literally this week, we've pretty much been the dirt. Like, that's been it. I mean, and I know that's weird because usually for us, we're going through and we're pulling stuff out and we're saying this and we're saying that. We were featured on over 100 websites with the Jenelle interview. Those websites all had they all had Vince Russo's, the brand and the interview portion. Fox featured a link to our show. TMZ had us up yesterday. They went through the entire thing with Jenelle, the entire thing with David and what happened. And I know anybody watching this show knows that, you know, David said some things on Twitter that were found inappropriate by MTV and they let him go. Jenelle is not off the show. And Jenelle does not know what her current status is going to be.
That's going to be really tough. That's a tough spot for her. Because how does she stay on the show and support her husband?
And, you know, like we know Jenelle through interview. That's how we know Jenelle. And you and I both, when we saw this going on, we were like, got to see if Jenelle's okay. And we don't know her, but that's just like who we are. Like, we would never want to see anybody suffer for anything. Yeah. There's no reason for it. So I did contact her to see if she was okay. She was upset. But she was okay. I just texted her. It wasn't like a long conversation. I just wanted to make sure she was okay. Because I don't want, guys, at the end of things, in the grand scheme of things, this is a TV show. Okay, this is a TV show that we sit at home and we watch and we DVR and we fast forward and we do this and we pick out things and we're opinionated. But to Jenelle, to Kale, to Amber, to Macy. This is their life. And we're sitting here watching this, and people are judging and people are giving opinions, and Vince and I make jokes, and you know what? That's what we do. But at the end of the day, that's that girl's life.
Yeah.
And when you attack somebody and they've been getting attacked since they were 16 years old, that's a difficult pill to swallow. And it makes you have a very tough exterior and a very issue with people. And one of the things she had said was, I can't trust anyone. That's a scary situation to be in when you have no one at all. And I'm not saying her husband, that wasn't it was the in general. She has no one to turn to, no one to ask advice, no elders. She's not really in full open contact and relationship with her mom. She doesn't know her dad, really hasn't seen him in years. He lives here in Pennsylvania. She has no one but her in the middle of nowhere, where she has built herself a fortress to protect herself.
Yeah.
And that's not a being in defense. That's a lot of these girls are getting to the point where they're like, look at Amber the other day, a couple weeks ago, when she was going, you said things about me and blah, blah, blah. And everybody had no idea what she was talking about. She watched the episode that she hadn't seen what had been said until it came out. And she went off about it. And then everybody is like, well, you're nuts. You're crazy. Imagine that being your life. And then 500,000 people decide that they're going to yell at you all at the same time. How do you deal with that? How do you deal with that? And Vince knows. Vince is in professional wrestling for how many years, Vince? Forever. You were, in my opinion, the greatest wrestling writer that there was. That's it. And this is not because Vince Russo is my friend. This is because I support Vince Russo, the writer. He has heard the most ridiculous, insulting things that I have ever seen. And sometimes I will come out, I try not to say anything, and people go, oh, people say play the stroke card. But honestly, guys, you don't realize I don't have a filter, because that part of my brain is damaged. So when I see somebody attack Vince for something ridiculous, I do come to his defense, because what you don't realize is Vince has helped me. So it makes me upset. And everybody wants to hate, and there's no reason to hate this girl, and there's no reason to hate Kale, and there's no reason to hate Vince.
Noel, can I tell you something though? This is part of the problem. And again, I always have to say, Vince, I'm 57. A lot of these girls are 25 now. When I was 25, I just told you, from 22 to 27, I was in a deep depression. I just told you that. So I'm 57 now. That's 30 freaking years ago. But there has to come a point where they have to, being in the public eye and going through what they've gone through, they have to understand there are going to be consequences to their every action. There are going to be consequences to what they do, and there's going to be consequences to what they say. And I got to tell you something. Yes, they are very young, but they've been in this, in this gig for the last 9 years. They know how it works. I mean, when Kale, has 2 kids, and then she divorces Javi, and then the next episode she's pregnant again. Okay, that's, people are going to talk. There are going to be consequences to your actions and things that you say and things that you do. And like I said, man, when I was their age, I did the same exact thing. But you got to get to the point of, I do this all the time, Noel. You got to start thinking about, when you're in the public eye, you got to be conscious of everything you say and do. You have to, because every single thing that comes out of your mouth, and not for reasons like us where I'm going to say, what the F are you doing, because I care about you. I'm talking about people that are just mean-spirited and want to bury you and want to hurt you and want to bully you. They're looking for every single word to spill out of your mouth to be all over. and you got to be careful. I also want to give credit to Bree yesterday. I think she was the only one who publicly spoke out, supporting her friend Jenelle, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. And you know what too? Like I know people know, and maybe some people don't know, that we have on as our next guest, Nathan. Because we have an open forum. We have an open platform. But the credit to Nathan was when I had talked with him and his girlfriend on Twitter about the interview and setting it up. He said, "I want people to know who I really am, because MTV painted me into a character that does not represent me." And he said, "I don't want to come on and do a negative. He doesn't want to come on and talk about a negative thing. He doesn't want a Jenelle interview, which is what he'll get from like going to a major news service. Is going to ask, well, what do you think about this? Or what do you think?" He wants to come on and discuss actual life and who he is and what he's done. And guys, people don't realize Nathan has some major accomplishments in life. He was a Marine. He did tours overseas during wartime, played football. He did a lot of things that were good things. We want to focus on the good. If we're giving you tough love, it's because we care about people, and maybe sometimes we care about people too much. I'll give you a prime example of how much that this is a TV show to us, and that people are people. There was a woman, her name is Teresa, and she had posted on one of the posts that I was tagged in with Vince about, she didn't like the interview and she was mad about it, and she said something negative, and I don't even remember what it is, because that stuff just kind of goes. For some reason, I was compelled to click on just her face on the picture. I could just feel that something was hurting, and I don't know what that was. And I told my husband, I feel compelled to help. So when I went to her, and my husband thought I was crazy. He's like, why are you doing this? And I was like, because. So I went and I clicked on the page, and I went over and I saw that her daughter had the most beautiful smile, and she needs a van for her wheelchair. She has multiple handicaps. She's deaf. She loves Disney just like me. She's dressed like Snow White, just my favorite. And she has become too big for her mother to be able to lift her in a van, and they can't leave the house, and she needs a wheelchair van. She's a single mom. She works like crazy. She has other children. They can't get her in the van anymore. So I told her underneath, I said, listen, Teen Mom is just a show. I said, please DM me and tell me how we can help you. And she did. And we talked, and I said, listen, I'm going to share this link every day. I'm going to share it from other accounts. I'm going to ask other people to share it. I had it on everything I have. And the reason I did it was because I felt compelled to help this little girl, because she needs it. They need help. I don't care whether she didn't like the interview. I don't care who she likes on Teen Mom. That little girl needs a van. That's all that matters to me. She could have called me every name in the book, because she has upset in her, because look at what she's going through. She wants to take her child out. She wants to be able to get her child to the doctor. She wants to be able to take her to Disney, where she loves, but she doesn't have that. She's not getting that cash flow like that. She's working to keep things going. She needs a van. Teen Mom interviews, hate, not hate, racist, not racist. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, that child needs a van. I don't care. That little girl needs a van. That's what Vince and I do. That's what we've always done. It's not about who's on a TV show, who does this, who does that, who does something else. People need help. Guys, when there was a hurricane this past year in Texas and Florida, even though I was coming out of the house, kind of like testing the waters of leaving my house. We worked with World of Beer, myself and my husband Vito, and we raised money for the victims of the hurricane at World of Beer. We had a big party with them, and they gave beer specials. They gave away free beer. Every beer you bought on tap, the entire amount went down to 10. We raised a lot of money, and it went directly to those places. It didn't go through any services. We did this on our own with World of Beer. We did a cancer benefit for a little girl that lives in the town next to us, because they asked Vito to do it. My daughter went over and she did the face painting. She's an artist. The family volunteered their time as a whole and went over to raise money. This is what we do. I'm not a hater. We're not haters. Vince, how much charity work in wrestling have you done over the years? Probably like an astronomical amount.
Well, it's not only that. I mean, what this show has turned into, because I'm so open about depression and stuff like that. I'm Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many emails and DMs I get every single day from people that are hurting. And to me, like, I'm not saying that to put myself over. I'm saying that because that's the most important thing to me. Like, nothing else matters. I mean, it doesn't matter. There's so many people where we're all hurting, man. I mean, there's a different reason. We all have struggles in our lives, and we all have valleys in our lives. And I mean, every single day. And that's what I'm thankful for, because it's like you said, the rest of the shit doesn't matter. It don't matter. Like, it's entertainment. We have all these years to live, and we need things to pass the time. That's all it freaking is. It doesn't matter.
We talk about every topic, and you came on our show on YouTube. We do a Back to Reality where we discuss everything. We discuss life. We discuss illnesses. We discuss everything, and we talked about everything. And we're open on this show. We talk about depression. We talk about autism. My son's autistic. We talk about autism. We talk about stroke, because I had a stroke. I had an aneurysm with that. People say play the stroke card. I actually have a card that says Noel stroke card on it. But what it is it says FAST, which is how it informs you to identify a stroke in somebody close to you. Sometimes you don't realize you're having a stroke. You literally don't. You just are floating in the air. You have no idea what's going on. This card tells you what to look for in a person you're with that is having a stroke. And if I can share that and keep sharing that, and it can save somebody's life, thank God. Because my husband knew and came home and looked at me right away and said, "You're having a stroke, get in the car." If he would have just said, "This appears like a migraine," and I'd have laid down, I would have died. So he took me to the hospital, and something called TPA saved my life. Saved my life. So if you can recognize it fast enough, because there's a window for TPA, and you can get someone to the hospital, you can save their life. If people want to say that's playing the stroke card, I'll play it all day. I'll play it all day. So we cover topics and issues here above and beyond Teen Mom. And we talk about fun things. We both love music. We talk about music. We talk about Batman. We love Batman. Like, we talk about everything. This isn't a show to hate people. It's a review show. We use comedy because laughter gets us through. If I didn't have laughter, I wouldn't be here. I was laying in an ICU, and my husband leans over, and we have this joke we always say to each other. I have tubes everywhere. I'm laying in the ICU, and he leans over, and I think he's going to say, "I love you." And he leans over, and they were saying, "What hurts?" And I was telling him, and he goes, "How's your face?" And I just gave him a dirty look. And because he always goes, "How's your face? It's killing me." He does it with me and Francine all the time. So here I am laying on ICU dying, and he asked me how my face was. So I'm laughing so hard, tubes are coming out, and they're looking at me like I'm insane. It was before I went into like a little kind of coma deal. I'm laughing, and that's what we do. We laugh through it. I shared a picture that had a little prescription bottle that said, "Laughter is the best medicine."
Yeah.
And it is. And you know what? I'm going to continue to laugh. I'd like to laugh with you guys. Vince and I are going to continue to laugh. We're going to continue to pick on my husband relentlessly.
At the end of the day, this shit doesn't matter. It's that simple. And when you get older, and if there's any young girls watching this show, because maybe they followed up on the last interview, you're going to understand that as you get older. You're not going to understand it now. But all this shit that's consuming you, and the hate and who's on whose side, none of the shit means anything. Because let me tell you why. We're all in this together. And we all have to help each other. And like I said, man, hey, listen, if I'm wrong because my way is tough love, then I'm wrong. But that's all I know. And I know that because people have used it on me, and it has worked. So I know the effect that tough love has had on me when somebody's had to slap me upside the head and say, "Bro, like what the frig are you doing?" That works for me. So sometimes that's the approach I use. And you know what? If I didn't use that approach, maybe I would never be able to have a conversation with Kale ever. But I use that approach, and we are going to have a conversation. And I promise you, I hope you learn from it. I mean, I really, really do hope you learn from it.
The best thing to do is discuss. Don't
that's
go,
it.
I'm not talking to you because you did this and that.
Yeah,
Come to me and talk. I'm an adult. You're an adult.
Exactly.
We're adults.
Yep.
There's no kids here. You act like it. You're younger, but you're not a kid.
Yeah.
And it's time when you have to develop yourself into an actual communicating adult. This would be a great time. I leave the door open for Tyler. I was bent because I was accused of doing something I didn't, but I leave the door open. You don't have to come on this show, Tyler, and talk to me. You don't have to. You can DM me. DM Vince. He'll give you my phone number. Call me. I don't care. I discuss anything out. And you know what? I bet at the end of the day, we're going to be friends. And that's going to be it. Because you know what? Everybody's our friend.
Yeah.
We're all here together.
Yeah. I tell everybody what's going on in your world.
Oh, Adventures of Noel Harlow Lagrasso. Okay, guys, here it is. I am on Twitter if you'd like to be friendly and not use bad words. I am at Reality T Spiller. Sometimes the account does get put on private. That is when I need it quiet because I need quiet time. But I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. So you can reach me there. I have a website. It is harlowink.com. You can see all kinds of cool videos and pictures, and it tells all about my story and how I got to be here. What else do I have, Vince? I'm drawing a blank. Oh, YouTube. We are on youtube.com/the Big Vito brand. Our family puts videos there. It's Wrestling with Reality. It's about living our life after wrestling. It does feature some of my husband's older matches, commentary over some of his old matches that are just hysterical. If you're a wrestling fan, it's definitely check out. My son's on there as well. His name is Nick G. He is on the autism spectrum, but he is a comedian. So he does funny videos. He loves Family Guy. So if you watch, his favorite saying is, I have autism and it's funny to me, so why aren't you laughing? So that's his deal. So if you go check him out, he's really hysterical. He's a good kid. I love him to death. And that's, I think, pretty much all of our stuff. Oh, I think I'll make my announcement. I was going to save it. I think I'll make my announcement. I have a t-shirt line that will be coming out soon. It is done through the same place we always do our t-shirt line. It's no Redbubble. These are the people that actually produce our merchandise. They want to make a Noel specific t-shirt, which I never thought that would happen because I'm so used to promoting Big Vito stuff. But there's going to be a Noel shirt that you'll be able to buy. You can wear it. You can burn it in effigy, whatever you'd like to do. But it'll be on collarandelbow.com. So that'll be coming out soon in the next several weeks.
And the website.
Which website? Mine?
Yeah.
You missed it. I said it. It's harlowink.com. Yeah.
INK though, right? INK.
Because I do art and stuff. All of this is part of therapy. Yeah. All of this. So making the banners and things, even though I don't see well, I have to adjust to that because that's my new life now. So I used to run a business. I had to close it, a graphics business, but I'm making my own art and trying to do things a little differently and trying to learn to edit and things. But you know what? It's all good because I'm here and I'm here with everybody and I'm on Earth and I'm breathing good air and I'm happy. Yeah, and that's all that matters in the end.
All right, everybody. There you go. You could follow me on Twitter at the Vince Russo. Also, our shows there on Podcast One 7 days a week. There's a show every day of the week, all kinds of different shows. There's a conspiracy show, The Conspiracy Horseman, that airs tomorrow night. I'd love you guys to check out That's Life. Like I said, man, has nothing to do with wrestling. It's a show about life and our struggles in life. And we help each other get through. But check that out on Podcast One. That is it, everybody. We will see you next time. Same bad time, same bad channel.
Bye-bye.